This is my quick agenda. It was in the email I sent out. I just want to touch base on the OREA life insurance policy. They had a meeting yesterday, and just going to mute Anton. I hear you slurping there, bruh. I'm just going to mute you there for a sec. Yeah, so they had a meeting yesterday with a special task force. I don't know if you guys read your emails on this point. I kind of was paying attention a little bit. I barely read my emails these days with the volumes, but I was looking into it. There is I guess during 2020, there was a survey that went out, and supposedly the big majority of people who answered the survey was they would love to have some life insurance. Now, this is, I guess in theory, it's very good. There's some outstanding questions. We don't know exactly how that's rolling out. We do know that the estimated cost for the life insurance policy, which will be a mandatory expense. So this is where people, I've already got insurance. I don't need more insurance. Why would I have an expense of $650? This is a frustration I echo with you. Yet it is a policy that as the member management, they said, hey, this is our responsibility to at least evaluate this. This is what our members are looking at as a whole, as a majority. So that was a yesterday meeting. I have not received an update. Christina, have you heard any updates on that? I have not.
Yeah, I was just pulling it up. So it is going to happen.
Okay.
It had an 80% vote in favor amongst the board, directors, and executive staff. So it's going to go through. And it's all we have is the January 1st rollout. And it's not available to opt out.
Ay, hindi. Mag-ano ka muna, kuya. Hindi ka pa kasi makakapag-log in. Mag-create ka muna.
So yeah. It will go through. It is mandatory. There is no opting out. And this is like a phase 1. And then they're working on a phase 2 that would include being able to bring family members on board and etc. But we don't have full details on coverage and if it would affect anyone's existing coverage.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find the communication. Here's the communication I received from Mississauga Real Estate Board, just to kind of give an overview for those of you who are kind of curious with the prescription drugs option there. Some details. I'm not going to read through the entire thing, what it does include, but big ticket item there, it's $659. There is no opt-out option there through OREA. They did kind of send out this plan, this PDF with frequently asked questions, or kind of like, and it was just by the tone of the questions. Not that it was rushed through, but it wasn't something that we were particularly involved with as members, with the exception of voting your OREA directors in through organized real estate and through the survey received. So I was expecting that to go through. Some of you are a little frustrated with that expense. I agree. Things aren't getting cheaper out there. They're getting more expensive, and I think with the timing of that during the pandemic, that the 2020 survey probably was a little bit skewed, but they voted that through in context of 2023 and have said, let's move ahead, which we expected. So that's our update on that, guys. One thing that, any questions or comments? I mean, if the comments are gripe, I agree with you, but any questions on that?
The only thing that should be considered is if we already have benefits from our spouse, we should be able to at least opt out of part of it.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions around that as well too. I'm not going to make any assumptions, but there's obviously a lot to question there. Does your policy still, is it at all impacted with your spouse with this policy as well too? There's a question around that. That's a bit of a concern. I didn't mean to throw a gripe out there, but that's something to be concerned about. we'll see. We'll push forward and see what information we have, and we'll push it off to you guys and give you guys an update.
And I just have one question. Sorry, a bit late.
Yeah, Sean.
Was this just a proposal, or is this actually in place?
This was a proposal.
Okay.
And now they sat down, the task force sat down with the board of directors at OREA yesterday. They met for the entire day, and they've voted at 80% that this is now going to be rolling out. So it is increasing your cost by about $650 per year to every agent in Ontario.
And this was fast-tracked, even self-admittedly by OREA. Just so everyone has some context, this task force they put together came into effect in February of this year. So from February of this year to yesterday's vote is really the only amount of time that they've made it aware that this is actually something they're pushing for. So there hasn't been much in terms of communication, a couple of emails, some bulletins, but if you don't subscribe, you don't get that, and not everything was very clear. So they have fast-tracked this.
Yeah. Fast track seems to be the theme of 2023, whether it be this insurance policy, whether it be with Brad transitioning into Trev. There are a heck of a lot of changes. We're, as a brokerage, as agents in the industry, we are going through a lot of changes, like over this last month into the next month into the coming months with new software that's rolling out. So again, I just think I may not have the exact answer today. I just wanted to have an open forum where we can talk about it, so you guys can at least start thinking about these items and being aware that these changes are coming. So one item, number 2, that's on my agenda here today. I've chatted with Theodore up in Orangeville. We've seen it coming up quite a bit in the last couple of months. I see Shazad's on the call. I've had several conversations with Shazad about different deals over the last month at least. We're taking listings or we are participating with a buyer where there is a listing where there isn't enough money to cover the lender's mortgage or the mortgage of the seller to that lender. So a house that someone purchased a couple of years ago for $1 million, and maybe they put 20% down on that. They would have if it's over $1 million. And then the value of that property, if it dropped by 20%, which year over year we have seen a greater than 20% drop in real estate from the peak at least. But you combine that fact with, tough times, inflation, borrowing, second mortgages, credit cards, lines of credits. These aren't unique liabilities or debts that people are taking on. Everybody's hearing in the news the amount of debt that Canadians are taking on. Make sure you're doing your mortgage verification. Make sure there's enough funds there so that the lender, number one, is paid off. If there's a second mortgage, that lender is then paid off. You as the realtor, as the co-op realtor, is getting paid out there as well too. So a mortgage verification helps kind of stop or at least inform and start having the conversation, because since you do sign paperwork, you do represent their fiduciary interests. Which I did a video the other day, yesterday. We are trying to be all things to all people. When we are representing fiduciary interests, it feels like everything is piled into that conversation. Fiduciary interest. Oh, then you're responsible for my staging. You're responsible for reviewing my staff certificate. You're responsible for knowing my finances. Kind of yes and no. I mean, we find ourselves getting into a trap there where we're setting ourselves up for not potentially just failures, but for serious exposures. And this mortgage verification is a big one. Shazad, if you're on the call, how many times have you had this conversation with our agents, if not myself included?
More than a dozen times in the last couple of months. There are a couple of ways to protect yourself. One, obviously, the mortgage verification form, where the seller will inform you what the current mortgage is, ask for the statement, so on. But you could also purchase the document from Joe Warehouse. I think it's about $35, which will not only list their mortgage, because you have to ask the right question. You know, A, you've got a mortgage. B, do you have a secured line of credit on it? Because that's also included in the mortgage, and potentially a second or third mortgage. I've had one where they had 3 mortgages, and our agent was aware of one. So at the end of the day, you can potentially be working for free. The deal won't close. You have some liability on it. So if you're going to pick up a listing, my recommendation would be, you know, if you have a good relationship with the lawyer can pull the title. If you don't, you can pull it yourself for $30-35. It's worth it as part of the cost of that listing. At least you have the documentation. It won't tell you the current balance of the mortgage, but it'll tell you when they got that mortgage, what the initial principal amount was. So at least you can gauge that there's enough funds, you know, by the time they pay the commissions. Is there going to be enough money left over? And further, push your clients to get their payout statement. Just a copy of the payout statement. We got one, that was about 3 or 4 months ago, where the penalties were $52,000. Okay, so don't make assumption that the penalty should be 3 months interest or 3 months payment. They could be much greater depending on the bank. It could be a B lender, it could be a major penalties. So get a payout statement in writing from your seller. At least, you know, you've got to do your due diligence, and part of it is to fact check everything and don't just believe them. Parlay to that is the furnace and air conditioning rentals. You know, we're getting $22,000 payouts, which is part of the lien on the property, which is technically a mortgage on their property. So that alone could put you out of potentially getting paid because there's not enough money to pay out that particular item. So ask the questions, make sure you get that checklist. Is it rental? Go downstairs, look at the equipment. If there's a big tag on it, or if it's brand new and it has a huge Reliance sign on it or something, inquire. You know, don't just assume.
I mean, Shazad, that's a great point. The mortgage verification, we have updated the forms on your web forms to show the mortgage verification. Is that checklist on there, Christina, regarding furnace, AC rentals, or a listing package for Orangeville and Brampton? If it's not, can we just make sure we put that on there, because that is a big one right now. See, these problems don't become problems when it's an upward market. We are seeing all sorts of issues and challenges, frankly, that we weren't seeing in the last 5-8 years in the business of real estate. And if you got your license within that time, this is all new to you. So, again, I like having these conversations in a safe place in this sort of environment to let you guys know these are the considerations. But just listening to Shazad's thought process there. 2 things: he's been through changing markets as well, but as well as managers, we're hearing all the challenges that are happening in the market right now. You may not be experiencing this on a deal, but it could be right underneath the surface there, and having these talks are quite valuable. So it's good. This really leads into my next point there, which. Again, I did a video on it. I'm not going to say who the agent was, but there was a scenario where there was a townhouse that the question was posed to the realtor was, is the roof and the windows included with into the maintenance for the property management of that condo townhouse? And the agent answered yes, not reviewing the status certificate or not actually knowing the details. The deal firmed up, and then there was obviously the status certificate came through afterwards, and it was discovered that no, that's up to the homeowner. So there was an infraction there at the very least. So that's something, just as a warning. I don't use agents' names, but just as a warning, guys. You know, where did I put it? I have you know, this is just an example of the status certificate, and Christine and I were chatting yesterday about this. Like some of the status certificates are well over hundreds of pages. And I posted a little video on it, guys. Don't try to be all things to all people. Don't try to, even if you do know how to read these status certificates, which a lot of you do. It's really good to get a second set of eyes on that, and that's the value of a lawyer. You know, Wesley Jackson is sitting in our office these days. He's in almost every day here, and having a relationship with him. You got a buyer that's going through that process. Shoot him over the status certificate. He does a wonderful job of reviewing that to protect you and your seller and all parties that are involved here. So just that is a reminder. You know, if there's legal contract, that's what status certificate is, and there's finances in there, give it to the pros. That's what a true professional does. They understand their limits. They understand their challenges. And I say challenge actually because there's 100 pages there. I can barely read an email these days, and I know I'm not alone. And sometimes I'm missing points in one little paragraph. You think you're going to capture everything in that status certificate? Don't do it. Don't even bother. Get that relationship with that lawyer and let them kind of coach you through that or get you through that. The second point I've got here, just, you know, when in doubt, you know, buyer or seller solicitor review. I've had that one come up a few times, especially on the power of attorney listings that we've had, as well when we represented the buyer on a power of attorney scenario, to make sure that probate is in place and indeed this can close on the appropriate date, or maybe it can't, and then a lawyer reviews that. Hey, let's change the language here a little bit and make sure we've got ourselves some wiggle room. There's such great value in having a solicitor review that for your buyer. I actually have it in the majority of my offers when I do an APS up. And if we don't need it, then we scratch it out. But as a default, I've got that there for myself, that buyer solicitor. Christina, do we have that as a standard clause on the APS, buyer solicitor review?
Yeah, there is a solicitor review clause, a condition that's preloaded in there.
Okay, good. Cool. Breb updates. Let me just stop my sharing here and change up my screen. So there was an email that came out on Friday from Jerry at Breb. And it sounds like we will be receiving shortly, number one, an invoice. If you are, I'm going to try and explain this, Christina, and jump in when I start messing up, please. So if you are paying annually, there will be an option there'll be a credit on your account, and I'm already messing this up. I'm not
Right.
even.
So because there's been a few emails back and forth. It has been really unclear. So they will be sending out apparently the balance of emails today. This is what we've heard from the Brampton board as of early this morning. And for those that have paid, use the option to pay monthly to the Brampton board, you will not be getting an email of your invoice. What'll happen is through Stratus, you'll log into MLS and you'll want to go into your e-commerce section. When you log into your e-commerce, that'll show you your invoice that will have either the credit or what is outstanding. Once again, on the monthly option, those who have a balance owing, it will show up in the e-commerce portion of the Toronto MLS. Anyone who has prepaid their annual fees, all in full, you won't have the invoice option on Treb. Treb will be reaching out to those members separately. We're guessing in the form of an email, but we're not 100%, but we're guessing that's how it's going to happen. And again, we all know all of this is due by June 30th. Otherwise, our MLS access could be disrupted and suspended, and then they will be adding on reinstatement fees as well. So we're trying to get everything organized over the next 9 days to get this transition done with you. Any questions? Has anyone got any emails yet?
I did. I got the email yesterday and I paid it.
Yeah, so I've heard that there's the invoice email that went out. You know, I've heard from a few people yesterday, Stefan's shaking his head, but there's still the application and then the beneficiary form as well, I think, that we haven't received yet. So that's what we're waiting on for the majority. They got your money, so that's good. Congratulations.
The rest should follow today.
Is there going to be a new authenticator app? Because the current one is a Breb one, right? You know how you have to use the authenticator to log in?
Yeah, it's Clarity. The app itself is Clarity, so it should remain the same. Eventually, when Stratus does phase out, maybe by the end of this year, because Realm is coming into effect, you'll have to transition over to the Realm app in any event. But no, the Clarity app will stay the same.
Okay, because even with Realm, you still have to use a authenticator app.
You do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Lots of changes. Lots of changes. Anybody use Top Producer through Breb? Yeah, that was something that they did away with. As you transition from Treb, if you were using Top Producer, that CRM, which actually a few people are, because that's kind of a CRM from years ago, but that's no longer available on the Treb platform. AuthentiSign was offered through Breb as a free digital sign platform. That is no longer available free for Breb or for Treb members, although since we use Transaction Desk through the brokerage, that product is still available and offered free to all of our agents in the brokerage, just FYI on that. But there will be a change, of course. We did a meeting last week with SkySlope, which is the proposed, and we suspect it will be eventually replacing web forms in the future. Which everybody's rolling their eyes, I have no doubt right now, but that is kind of the way of organized real estate. SkySlope is a pretty nice platform, very easy to use. Christina, Denise, myself, Shazad, and Renee got a demo of it last week, and it was just like beautiful. It was lovely. They have a digital signature platform called DigiSign. Is it DigiSign? Something like that. And that is offered free through that. So that's something that we're looking at as well as a brokerage, although we have no plans in the immediate future to do a transition to that. But again, lots of changes in the industry, and we just ask for your patience, and we're just as frustrated through some of those changes as well too, but just want to bring that up.
I just have one question about the SkySlopes.
Yes.
So I've been testing it out, and when you log onto like a computer, it's like single sign-on through Treb, which is fine. But when I try to log into a mobile app, because I downloaded the SkySlopes mobile app,
Yes.
it's asking for a password. Do you guys know if there's like a standard set password, or would we have to contact Treb to get that reset?
Christina, do you have an answer for that?
Yeah. Who is that? Is that Sean?
Yes. It's
Sean, are you trying to, so I know that the mobile portion of it in terms of SkySlope forms is not fully integrated with that single sign-on, and they haven't 100% rolled that out.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
still as a coming soon, like the Sky Slope offers. So
Yes,
it's
yeah.
not 100%. They don't have a little reciprocal engagement happening yet, but it's to
Okay.
come. But we can look into that if there's anything that could make it a little more seamless mobile. But
Yeah.
I think it's just because right now the forms and offers and TrebNet are not talking with each other yet because it's not a full
Oh.
rollout.
Okay. Okay. Sounds good. Thank you.
No problem.
Cool. Any other questions or comments, guys?
Just one quick clarification. So you were saying because we use transaction desk, we still have access to Authentisign?
Yeah. So as a brokerage, we rolled that out. I think it was 2021, maybe late 2020. We rolled out Broker Bay. We use these platforms, and one of the benefits with Transaction Desk is there was a free Authentisign. So, and then I think it was maybe 6 months later, it was Brad at the time, roughly 6 months later, they rolled out Authentisign free for all agents. So we thought we were like these big stars, and then they gave it away for free anyways. And now we're big stars again because we got it for free. But one of the challenges I got with Sky Slope right now is it just has DigiSign as its primary signature, digital signature, and it does not add, like, when we're in our web forms and you can select DocuSign or Authentisign or a different one, digital signature platform, it doesn't allow you to do that. They want you to be using DigiSign. So that's a little bit of a thorn when you want to have a choice in what you're using. But it is free, and why would you be paying $170 a year for DocuSign or another platform for that matter? So anyway, so these are, again, we don't have all the answers at this point, but we're kind of pushing through and figuring it out as we go along. Okay, guys. Good. One thing, I'll just share my desktop again. One thing that we went out and did last week, and I've got that here. I thought this was a really successful event that Louis Camara and his son put on. Appreciate everybody who came out to that agent open house. I remember, like, this used to be a thing years ago, and region by region, this was a thing, a very popular item. I remember Brad Harmon he did an agent open house last year, which he had red carpet, he had a live band going. It was pretty awesome. Louis did this a beautiful agent open house. He had, wine, cheeses, all sorts of spread, lots of chocolates that I think I ate half the chocolates that were there. So sorry, Louis. But it was good. There was probably a good 20 agents from our office that showed up. This was good for a couple reasons. If you've got a listing that you're struggling with, and either the seller is saying, no, you got to sell my house at this price, having an agent open house, and Louis did a really good job. You can see it in his hand. He had a one-page form where every agent gave feedback and, regarding the price. And so he was able to bring the data points, roughly say 20, back to the seller and go, look, everybody loved the house. Here's all positive feedback, but on the pricing, this is what our feedback was. I haven't followed up with Louis on how that conversation went, but that is a valuable, sincere piece of information he can bring back to his seller. There's a lot of advantages. Again, when I showed up to this agent open house on that street there, just to see that many cars, if you're working a farm area and all the neighbors are seeing all these cars show up to this agent open house, boy, does that make you look good. So lots of benefits to that, and I'm sure there was conversations that kind of got prompted from that afterwards from agents in our office. So anyways, that was a great idea. Great marketing tactic for multiple reasons. Last week, or I should say 2 weeks ago, it's amazing how much happens in a 2 week period. That's why I'm so comfortable when I do a Wisdom Wednesday every week. And then this was 2 weeks ago. You can see I'm such a hand guy here. Look at that. But this was a great event, the summer business planning event. We probably had a good, I don't know, 25 people, 30 people in the room, Christina. It was a good group of individuals, and we just went through quite a bit. If you missed that, that was our first kind of in-person training session in a long time like that. I like being a part of these training sessions when they're face to face. I like that you guys are here experiencing this conversation today. Whether you like it or you don't like it, you experienced something today. Versus this recording, I am recording this call and I'll send it out to everybody, but they will not anywhere near achieve the same sort of intimacy with this conversation as you are today. So I appreciate the participation. We're doing this for you guys though. So I do like the participation. This was, again, the same week. It looks like we're just partying, we're getting totally wrecked here, but no, this was a work event. There was a pre-construction project that took place. That was last or 2 Tuesdays ago. It was quite the spectacle to experience. But every agent that was there was taking photos, doing videos on their stories there. We're in the business of people, and people do business with people they like, that they see are busy, and this was anytime you guys have an opportunity to go to an event like this was by far one of the best ones I've ever been to. And it was open bar, and so I enjoyed that. But a bunch of us just met here, we just went down, had a great time, came back. I think Bethany, who's on this, she's already done 3 deals on this pre-construction. There's a lot of people that are like, hey, I want to get into pre-construction. You've got to come out and play. You've got to come out to these events and get used to it and get immersed in the conversations and the stories. And if for anything else you enjoyed yourself, sure, with your colleagues and reconnecting, and there's some serious conversations going on that night, which I thought was beneficial to the individual agents. But like, imagine someone says to you, hey, I'm thinking about pre-construction. You've gone to an event, you've gone to a pre-launch event, you know how the process works. You've got a story to refer back to. You got no story to refer back to. Someone can see right away you have 0 experience in this. We are not in the business of reacting, we're in the business of being proactive. That's the difference between professionals and amateurs. A professional, they right away can refer back to the stories and the scenarios and experiences that they've had in the business. And pre-construction, although it's a longer closing date, and there's some questionable, I don't want to say questionable, but there's some challenges with if you buy at a high point and then upon closing 2 years later you are not approved for the financing, you can find yourself in hot water. So there's some challenges you definitely need to be aware of. But the learning on this process is so invaluable. So I just wanted to put that out there. I looked really good. I had a good t-shirt on that night. It's a good t-shirt. Total listing kit. Tanya's not on this call. I don't think she is. But I'm doing this a little bit from time to time where I'm sitting with an agent, actually walking through their listing presentation. And I'm sure it's fine if I share with Tanya, she's worked with a lot of buyers over the last few years, and has just naturally been a little bit shying away from listings and taking on listings. And for obvious reasons, she didn't have her listing presentation where she wanted it to be. She had a version of it, and I do see agents out there touting, hey, come check out my listing presentation. Let me help you guys. This is kind of like the basic step of becoming a realtor. We can work with buyers and we can work with sellers. And so when you get into your business, you set up your fundamentals of marketing to communicate with people, like Brenda does. She's got 40 people. She's got her marketing system set up. Then what does she do? Then she has to focus on the skill set of real estate. And the skill set of real estate, one of the big ones is the ability to get listings. If you don't have that skill set or that preparation already done, I can tell when somebody's unprepared. And this is 90% of this business. You've heard me talk about this. It is all preparation. You don't go out and get your box when you get the call for a listing presentation. It's in 2 days. You're going to fumble that. presentation up. You might, because you're charming and you've got that relationship there, but if it comes out of your farm area and you are not prepared, you will lose. You will absolutely lose. There are professional realtors that you are competing with that have their presentation already done. They've done it 20, 30, 100 times, and you're just trying to figure it out right now. This is a slow period in the real estate market right now because of the markets and what's happening with the economy, the summertime. There is no better time to start refining your skill sets and putting a little bit more prep into your story, into your value proposition. Tanya did this presentation. We actually met, I want to say 3 times now. And every time we just kind of, okay, now we're working on the binder. Now we're working on your presentation. Now we're working on the contents of the box there and working on that. I didn't do it for her. She did it all, but she just wanted that a little bit of, okay, being present in the moment. And she got a listing, guys. Her first listing, she got the presentation, she did the box, she got the listing from that. And I would say that's a success story. Whether you're doing this box or you're doing a version of this, whatever you do, the bare minimum, you got to have your listing presentation. I think the whole package is going to give you a slam dunk. It's going to increase your closing ratio, number 1. And it's going to increase or keep your listing commission. If you're struggling with, I can't seem to get all my commission, look at your story. Look at your marketing pitch that you're giving them within that 1 hour. If it's what everybody else is doing, then you're going to be treated like everybody else, which everybody right now in an oversaturated market of realtors with low listings, with low business, the default competitive tool you have is your commission. And that's an awful position to be in. What is your story? What is your value? What is your unique selling feature? You've got to find that. Okay, rant is over on the total listing kit. And I've got a couple of those points there. Go back on track with my agenda. I think I got everything there. I did this little cute post on the Facebook group. I don't do it for my own indulgence. I would say if we got 150 agents in Brampton with say 43, 44 agents in Orangeville, I would say less than 10% of you have your databases set up where they are receiving newsletters. I would say less than 10% of you. And I'm not, this is an attack. It's not a grind here. It is just a missed opportunity. I see a lot of agents that are focused on farming, focused on social media, and actually I like all those tools. I love them all. But if you haven't done that very first thing, that again, Brenda, I set her up. We had a big talk before the meeting. I set her up to talk about database. But if you haven't done that one important thing, which is set up your database and start sending newsletters out to your sphere of influence, you're missing 90% of your business. You're 90% of your potential. If you could have made $100,000 in the business of real estate, you've just lost $90,000. Like, it is that extreme of a scenario. And I made this joke, but these are guys I've gone to university with, college with. They would kill for me. Like, we're brothers, right? And just randomly just says, every time your flyer comes here, Trevor, my wife puts it up on the fridge, which is a joke. And we're joking back and forth and being playful, but these are guys that send referrals every single month. And I'm not an active prospector. Like what Brenda is saying, she's like 18 years in the business. They receive my newsletters every single month, and then they call me. And, you know, I did have in the, in this screen here, I did describe, you know, at the beginning of your career in real estate, you're going to spend a lot of time, you're going to spend a lot of money doing the marketing, but eventually it's going to get easier, and it does. That's why, you know, I made the point in the post, you know, it looks easy for some of these realtors. It just, you know, how can this person who's, you know, in this generation here getting all this business? I'm, you know, up to speed. I do all this social media, because it's not about social media, guys. It's about the connection that you have with these individuals. It's about the experiences. Do they know you? Do they like you? And do you trust you? That's it. There's no fancy software as a service that's going to get you the same return if you have that connection. You are consistent, showing that that connection with them. So I just, and again, this came up in our presentation a couple weeks ago. I think it was Part that sent me this, which I thought this was so relevant for you guys. Here's look at the greatest returns, conversion rates for different pools. Referrals, past clients, past sellers and buyers. This is your highest return on investment. So if you've got a past client, are you sending them every single month a newsletter? Because at some point in the next 5 to 7 years, they're going to sell. They're going to do something, and they could be the greatest source of referrals for you. I mean, as Brenda said, she's got 4 listings in the hopper from one person that's receiving newsletters over the years. And what did it cost you? Maybe $20 for the year of that. That's the investment of this business. So I just wanted to just touch on that really. This is another great slide. If you think it's just keep in touch systems, there's lots of platforms out there where they're sending out newsletters, but it's the same conversation over and over and over again. We've got to activate our advocates. And what is an advocate? It is someone that's willing to kill for you. Oh my God, that's so dramatic. But it's someone that's a friend, that's a family, that if you had to ask somebody for help, they'd be there for you. They would help you out. Great. So make sure you're top of mind. This is Richard Robbins kind of, hey, this is an active advocate and this is what you're to do with them. If you can take this screenshot, guys, this is your marketing plan. I mean, I did a different version of this, but this is everything that you should be doing. And you don't need to go outside of your sphere of influence. And I see it over and over again, right? So I don't want to sound like a broken record. I'm not talking to those people who already have this already set up. Brenda's rolling her eyes right now. I'm sure. I've been doing this. This is how I know, but at least 10% of you are doing this, and the rest are not. So I just got to make sure this is drilled in, and that's my story on that. All right, I went off there a little bit. Anybody want to? So a couple of comments. Tell me any success stories over the last week that we can share. How about the Orangeville office? You guys are so quiet. Someone's got their hand up. Who is that? It's so small. It's pretty. It's a pretty person. I can see. It's pretty.
Hey, Sean.
Oh, Sean. He had his hand up from before. I'm gonna lower that. Hold on.
Yeah, that's from earlier. Sorry.
Oh, hey, Orangeville. I can't hear you. You're on mute. There you go. Any questions there, Teal?
Yes, you wanted, it's Brad, you wanted an example of something that worked.
Yeah.
So I got called, someone knows I get a gingerbread house, I've been doing it for about 10 years. And on my street.
Hey, Brad, we're having a hard time hearing you. Can you walk up to the camera and so we can see your pretty face and we can hear your audio real crystal clear?
Take my shirt off.
Don't take your shirt off. This call is being recorded. Well, there you are. There we see you.
Hear me good?
Yeah, we can hear you now. Good man.
So I've been delivering gingerbread houses for about 10 years, and I get a call and a message from someone who used to be one of my neighbors. She used to get gingerbread houses all the time, but she Airbnbs her house right now. Her daughter calls me and says, I remember you coming by with gingerbread houses when I was a kid, and we want to buy an Orangeville. And so I don't have her on my database at all, but she just remembers me delivering houses to her as a kid and building them, and how much fun it was, her building it with her sisters. And then she's like, well, now I'm having a kid and I need to move and buy something. So it was kind of cool to see how, actions that you take in the past that may otherwise be felt like, okay, I didn't get anything from that. Certainly can come back and pay you dividends in the end. So that was a good example.
That was a great example, Brad. Your business, the way you've got it set up with those gingerbread, like that's your unique selling feature. And actually, it was Brad. I remember telling me that phrase once upon a time. Trevor, what is your unique selling feature at the brokerage? Every salesperson should be asking themselves that very question. What is your unique selling feature to your audience, to the crowd that you're trying to sell to? And that is That's a deep, dark hole, but it can also be a very refreshing one to pop out of and empowering if you discover and really do create that unique feature that they can't get anywhere else. And he's done a great job of that. So Brad, and again, Brad, I don't know if you heard, I gave you the kudos on your agent open house. Boy, that was something spectacular. I've never seen anything that great. You had a live band there, jazz. I was falling in love with everybody I came in contact with there. It was romantic experience, really nice. And again, the whole street was just rammed with cars. Sorry, what was that?
We got to use the bedrooms after. It was perfect experience.
When you get booze at a house, it's trouble. It's trouble. But it was, these are creative ideas that I think really in this sort of market with a couple listings that I know you're taking overpriced listings at times. I know you are. You try to set the right expectations. Okay, in 2 weeks we're lower that price, and then they get their heels dug in. They're like, no, we're not doing it. You're like, damn it, this isn't where I wanted to be. But great tactic again. Getting the endorsements or the validations from other realtors, not just in your brokerage. If you do an agent open house, advertising it, and other agents will come out to that. But that really helps you with that conversation. Like, here's 20 pieces of feedback. You make the decision. We make decisions based on data points. My feeling is, my CMA says, which is a matter of opinion, frankly, and they still don't give you that acknowledgement that you've gone through all those adjustments. That, yeah, but you never know. You never know. You never know unless you try. I get that. I love that phrase. But the more data points you give them, will help you in that management. So, anyways, good story, Brad. Appreciate it. One other thing I wanted to, before I show that, are there any other success stories or comments, questions you guys want to ask in this session?
Trevor,
Yes.
it's Tony.
Tony,
Can you hear me?
we can hear you. Very good.
Okay. Just talking about your CRMs and keeping in touch with stuff like that. 3 weeks ago, we had 2 clients that reached out that I sold a house to 17 years ago, and another one 16 years ago. And the one that I sold the house to 17 years ago was going to sell the parents' property. We're calling to do it because they wanted to do it as a private for sale by owner. Gave them tons of advice, didn't try and, convert it. I just gave them a lot of advice, told them the pros and cons, and within 3 days they called to list with us, the one on Clifton that we have in Brampton. And another client, same situation, it was 16 years. And just because they're getting the newsletters. So we went and did a CMA on their property, and they need a bit of, 2 or 3 weeks, and they're ready to go. But it is important to keep in touch. And I mentioned this before, like many a night, if I got nothing going on, I'm texting, hey, how's it going? Let's do it. I don't even talk about listing. Saw on Facebook it was so-and-so's birthday. Oh my God, it looked like so much fun. Whatever, right? Just keeping in touch with them.
Yeah, I love hearing that, Tony. Thanks for sharing that. If you are an agent and you're kind of quiet, just listening right now, and you're going to do that stuff, and it's hard to do the first step. It's like going to the gym. It's like starting a new diet. It's like starting a new habit of some sort. The first step is always the toughest part. And I shared Tanya's story because that's where she was at. She was really struggling. She was really frustrated. And she took that first step and just like, I got to meet with you. Let's just sit down. And then we sat down, and then, okay, we've identified what you want. Now let's take that first step and start the process of building your story, building your listing kit. And if it's, your database and you're struggling on that, I don't know where to start, just come and sit with me. It doesn't take that long. Like, we'll chat for maybe 15 minutes. We'll get into the spreadsheet there. I'll connect you with, whether it be Keep in Touch, David over at Keep in Touch, or Buffini and reaching out. I just got the phone with Buffini yesterday. I was looking for their screen. Like, what's the percentage of people that agents do business with people that are in their sphere of influence, and they were like 87% according to blah, 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 blah. Where's that slide? And they're sending me that slide. This is our business, right? So, but again, the door is open. Tio is available in the Orangeville office. I'm here in the Brampton office. Just come and sit with me. Come and sit with Tio. We're here to just be that sounding board to help you. Our jobs as managers, I've always heard this. You've heard this as well too. You're running a race. Every single person is running a race. You're trying to hit the finish line or that accolade. Our job is to take those hurdles that are in your way and take those out of the way. That's the job of managers. And so let us do that. Let us take those hurdles out of your way. So just I want to wrap up with I'll just share my desktop 1 second. I mentioned about top producer not being there, and again, reminder, you guys do have a free CRM with Century 21. Some of you guys are already using it. I know Stefan uses it. Sets up campaigns and email campaigns that are now working really nicely for him. Had to work through some bugs. These are all links that I've included in the email. They're quick videos. Some of them are 2 or 3 minutes long. Some are like 8 minutes long. I really like them. You've got to watch it, press pause, and then engage yourself, pun intended, with the CRM system. And then set that piece up, come back. Oh, I missed that part. That's how that has to work. It doesn't feel right, but once it's done and it's set up, boy, are you going to start having some efficiencies in your business, some automatic systems that help you in your business. The other one I did put here, C21 Present. I think it was Bethany that called me. She's like, "Oh my God, Trevor, I just used C21 Present. We were showing houses, like 6 houses, and we were able to lay out all of the properties to just help the buyer go from property to property. And it was such a powerful tool for them. They were so blown away by it. This isn't going to make or break your business, but these are tools that can help and create a good, positive experience. So I just wanted to share that with you as resources. Don't forget. I know it can be a little bit quiet. This is not a time to sit and just pout about I don't have business. No, this is a perfect time to be doing updates on your CRM or what are the other tools that are available. I just showed a couple that I thought were valuable, but I think your database, your newsletters, your listing presentation, guys, those are your priorities this summer. If you've got summer goals, those should be your goals as far as skill development here. So hey, this was a fun night we did with I don't know if you guys can see that. I don't think we need the audio there, but we took everybody out, Christina, the staff here in Brampton. I know, Rachel, you couldn't make it there, but next time we'll do an Orangeville event up there. But this was a fun time. This is your front line. This is your front line. They're working hard for you, and we're just so grateful to them. And yeah, that was a great night, fun night. Good. Okay, guys, that's our presentation. Oh my God, on the nose, 12 noon. Love it. Love the punctuality. Any questions, guys? Feeling good? Or you're not feeling good, you just don't want to say anything. My door is open. Tio's door is open. By the way, Tio, I keep hearing such positive feedback about what you're doing up there with your team. Congratulations, keep it up. I love seeing that. Tio is here for you. You're having a frustrating day, a weak moment. Sit down with one of us. Our only job is to make sure you're crushing out deals. And that's all we want. No one wants to beat up on you. We just want to help you in any possible way. So yeah, guys, enjoy your week. If you're doing something fun this weekend with your family or your friends, take an opportunity, have sincere conversations, and this is a great opportunity. Just build those relationships up. You don't necessarily have to be talking about real estate, but this is where the bonds begin. So Enjoy your week, and we'll see you guys in another 2 weeks. So I'm doing Tuesday, Wednesday every 2 weeks, every 2 weeks, every 2 weeks. I think in August we'll basically shut it down for the for a quiet time, and then we'll start it right back up in September. But I appreciate everybody coming to these events. There's a difference between watching a recording and experiencing in the moment. So this is I'm grateful to that, and this is a benefit to you guys. So okay, guys, have a great week. Bye now.